scientists, and medical researchers have been arguing for years about how to define a pandemic. Is it a pandemic or an epidemic? But they all agree on one thing. The word pandemic refers to a large number of people getting sick, more than would normally be expected in a certain area. Cholera, bubonic plague, smallpox, and influenza are some of the most deadly diseases that people have ever had to deal with, and when these diseases spread across international borders, this is called a pandemic. This is especially true for smallpox, which has killed between 300 million and 500 million people in its 12,000-year history. Here are some of the worst pandemics in modern history, including some that were caused by the flu and some that were not. The current coronavirus pandemic is not included. Number 7. London's Great Plague. History.com says that the bubonic plague killed 20% of London's population during the Great Plague of 1665. This was the second time the bubonic plague caused a pandemic. The first time was in the 14th century, with the Black Death. So many people died that mass graves were dug, and thousands of cats and dogs were killed because they were thought to be the cause. In the end, the outbreak ended in 1666. Surprisingly, the bubonic plague is still around today. It can sometimes be found in rural areas of the western United States, but the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention say it's more common in parts of Africa and Asia. People usually get the plague from an infected flea or animal, depending on how it spreads. The plague is called bubonic plague, septicemic plague, and pneumonic plague. Symptoms of the bubonic plague include a sudden onset of fever, headache, chills, weakness, and one or more lymph nodes that are swollen, tender, and painful. The CDC says that antibiotics used today are effective at treating the plague. Number 6. The Spanish flu. The CDC says that the Spanish flu was a pandemic of flu that spread all over the world between 1918 and 1919. It was caused by an H1N1 virus that came from birds, but no one knows for sure where the virus came from. The CDC says that about 500 million people got the virus, which is about 1/3 of the world's population. In the end, it killed at least 50 million people around the world and about 675,000 people in the U.S. The CDC says that the 1918 flu was especially dangerous. There is still a lot we don't know about the Spanish flu, but the CDC says that we do know that it caused severe and quick lung damage. The CDC says that people who got sick with the pandemic virus in 1918 had fluid-filled lungs, severe pneumonia, and inflammation of the lung tissue. Starting in 2005, scientists also tried to make a copy of the 1918 flu virus so they could test how pathogenic it was, or how likely it was to make someone sick or hurt them. The work, which was led by Terence Tumpy, Ph.D., a microbiologist and chief of the Immunology and Pathogenesis branch of the CDC's Influenza Division, showed that the 1918 flu virus was a uniquely deadly product of nature, evolution, and the mixing of people and animals. According to the CDC, this could help with future pandemics. Number 5. Asian flu. The Asian flu, which was another flu pandemic, started in East Asia in 1957. According to the CDC, the H2N2 strain of that flu virus was found for the first time in Singapore in February 1957. From there, the virus spread to Hong Kong in April 1957. And by the summer of 1957, it was in coastal cities in the United States. The Asian flu killed about 1.1 million people around the world, 116,000 of them in the United States. Number 4. 1968 flu pandemic. According to the Encyclopedia Britannica, the flu pandemic of 1968, also called the Hong Kong flu, began in China in July of that year. It was the third pandemic flu outbreak of the 20th century and was caused by the influenza virus H3N2. It killed 1 million people around the world and about 100,000 people in the U.S. alone. According to the Encyclopedia Britannica, it is thought that the Asian flu pandemic of 1957 may have led to the pandemic of 1968. This may have happened through a process called antigenic shift, in which small changes to the genes of a flu virus can lead to changes in the surface proteins of a virus, which cause the body's immune system to react. The CDC says that these antigenic shifts are the main reason why people can get the flu more than once and why a flu shot every year is the best way to protect against the virus and its ability to change over time. Number 3. 2009 Flu Pandemic. The CDC says that the last flu pandemic in the U.S., which was first called swine flu, happened in 2009 and was caused by a virus called H1N1 that had never been seen before in either animals or people. The virus was first found in the U.S., and it quickly spread all over the U.S. and the rest of the world. The CDC says that between April 12, 2009 and April 10, 2010, there were 60.8 million cases, 274,304 hospitalizations, and 12,469 deaths in the U.S. because of the virus. The CDC also thought that as many as 575,400 people died around the world. The CDC says that children and middle-aged adults were most affected by the 2009 flu pandemic, and even though the pandemic ended on August 10, 2010, the PDM9 virus is still going around as a seasonal flu virus, making people sick, sending them to the hospital, and killing people all over the world every year. Number 2. HIV and AIDS. HIV and AIDS were first found in the early 1980s. AIDS was first found in gay communities in the United States, but scientists think it started in Africa in the 1920s with a virus from chimpanzees. Since the beginning of the HIV epidemic, the World Health Organization says that 79.3 million people have been infected with HIV and that 36.3 million people have died from HIV. By the end of 2020, 37.7 million people around the world were living with HIV, but new treatments have made it possible for more people to live with HIV, according to government data. About 1.1 million Americans have the disease right now. There are still about 38,000 new HIV infections in the U.S. every year. Number 1. West African Ebola epidemic. Between 2014 and 2016, Ebola caused 28,600 cases and 11,325 deaths in West Africa. In December 2013, the first case was found in Guinea. The disease quickly spread to Liberia and Sierra Leone. Most of the cases and deaths happened in these three places. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said that there are fewer cases in Nigeria, Mali, Senegal, the United States, and Europe. There is no cure for Ebola, but scientists are still trying to find a vaccine. In 1976, the first people who got Ebola were in Sudan and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The virus may have come from bats. Thanks for watching this video. We are going to create more video like this, and please do not forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel and stay tuned. We will be back with more videos.